And this is the Noir Hour, and I'm here with Dustinn Lowry of The Becoming and also the Sulfur Cult.
How's
What's
it
up,
going?
bro?
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Good.
Oh man,
Excited
I'm
for
glad we finally got to get this going on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how it came together too, meeting out on tour.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that.
No, man. Well, I was not expecting you to be on the road with Demon Hunter either.
Me either, brother. Me either.
How in the hell how'd that happen?
Man, I've been friends with those guys for ever since I moved to Nashville, like probably I want to say 17 years ago. I just met them randomly out going to shows
Yeah.
and doing that thing, and we all became buds, and everyone played in bands together and just kind of always hung out and did the thing over the years in their own bands.
Yeah.
And we've all kept in touch. We all hang out and meet up, a couple times a year and go on a dude trip. And basically, the last time we were on a camping trip together, Jeremiah goes, "Hey man, you want to go on tour?" And I was like, "With who?" And he goes, "No, come out and stage tech for Demon Hunter." He's like, we'll make it a good time, and we'll all get to hang out on the road and not have to leave each other for a few weeks on end. And so that, okay, my cat's going crazy. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Anyway, so they asked me to go out with them and just tech for them. And Jesus, hang on one second. Come on. All right, geez. All right.
It's all good.
So I basically, thought about it for a while, and I had just gotten married, so I was kind of teetering it, but ended up doing it, and it was awesome. And
Yeah.
I got to see a lot of old friends, spend a lot of time with my dudes, and hang
Yeah.
out and kick it and make them sound as good as possible.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I couldn't believe you were there. Man, so I was leaving. I was walking out the door and Matt,
Yeah,
Matt
yeah.
from After Dusk, yeah. Me and
Right.
him have been tight for years.
Yeah, dude. He's
Well,
a
yeah,
great guy. He's a great
yeah,
guy.
he is, man. He's such a good dude. And he's like, man, he's like, are you leaving? I was like, yeah, I gotta get out of here. Of course, my girl was already in the truck,
Right.
and she's like, come on,
Ready to
because
go. Ready to
she
go.
knows I'll hang around. But Matt's like, dude, you know who that is, right? And I was like, you were kind of far away, and I would have never put two and two together. He's like, yeah,
Right.
man. So that's Dustinn from The Becoming. I was like, oh shit, dude. Oh
Yeah.
shit. Which I was stoked, man. I was screaming at you. I had to talk to you.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
It was crazy too, because I was sitting out there, as the show was starting up, and I saw Matt, and I was like, Matt, and he looked at me and he's like, Dustinn.
Yeah.
you know. 'Cause I didn't put two and two together that I was in the same city or whatever, because I
Right.
didn't really even know where he was from. We just been kind of catching up over Instagram and stuff like that.
Right.
And, I sold we had a bunch of merch left over from back in the day, like when we were touring, and it was just sitting at Corey's, the bass player's house, and he just had a baby. So he's like, hey man, let's get rid of this stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come get it. And it sat in our garage for like, I don't know, few weeks, and I was like, I'm just going to put this up and sell as much as I can. And we sold through all of it except for like the small sizes, so I'm about to go donate some shit. But
That's awesome.
yeah, so he saw that I was doing that, and that's kind of how we reconnected. Just kind of shooting the shit, talking about the Becoming and things like that. And he helped sell some of the shirts and shit. It was just a little
Yeah.
small thing that I was just trying to get rid of them so I didn't have to throw them away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So actually how I know of The Becoming was from Matt.
oh yeah,
We used to work together when we were younger. So
Okay.
about I guess that's about 12 years now. Yeah.
Dude, not very many people know who the Becoming are, but I guess if they know who they are, they just keep listening to them.
Yeah, we'll see. We used to ride together to work. We used to
Yeah,
work, we used to carpool close to where we live, and then go over to Mississippi, which it's not too far,
sure.
it was way back when, so I had the auxiliary cord and the iPod and like the
Yeah,
little
dude.
the little tape deck into
Totally.
the so and I'm a huge
Yeah.
him fan. I would always listen to
Same.
him all the
Same. I like
time.
him a lot too.
And Matt was like, "Man, well, if you like them, you'd probably like this band." And he showed me the Becoming, and this was like 2012, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that record basically would have just came out. I'm terrible with years, but
Yeah,
it's that seems about right.
yeah, it was 2012. Wait, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, I'm
So
terrible with the
long
years
time
too.
ago. Long time ago, either
It
way.
could have, I mean, it could have been give or take, but yeah, I
Yeah.
had never heard of it. And he's like, "Well, if you like him, you'll like them." And I was like, "Whoa, I loved it." And
Yeah, man.
he introduced me to Demon Hunter too. So like, I'm
Okay, cool.
forever grateful for Matt and our
Yeah.
long rides to work way
Yeah,
back
man.
then. But
He's that's part of it is like finding something new and cool and just showing it off to your friends that you know will like it. That's one of my
yeah,
favorite things to do is go, dude, have you heard this band? I just stumbled across them because I was listening to this and I saw them at a show or I heard them on a playlist or something,
yeah,
just showing off because I mean, what are we doing? Why would we keep that a secret? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Why would you want to not show off a cool band?
yeah. Well, 10 years ago, it wasn't as easy to find music as it is now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
that's why I grew up doing that because when you heard a good band, the only way you heard about them was word of mouth or a handbill or a show,
yeah,
or running across their. I remember when Hot Topic had that little CD section where you could go in and listen to the CDs and the demo.
yes,
And I always do that. I always did that going to record stores and CD stores and getting the cassette tape and put it in the cassette and having piles, stacks of fucking cassettes and CDs next to me just listening because that's the only chance you had, to check out new music and
yeah.
find new bands. And if you saw a picture of them in a magazine, if they didn't look cool, you didn't waste any time.
That's right.
They had to draw you in before you even heard a stitch of their music. So
Yeah,
it was just a little different. Now it's awesome, but it's also kind of terrible.
yeah,
Like,
man. Yeah, the same rules don't apply anymore.
no,
Man,
it's way harder.
yeah, there's so many bands out there. It's hard as hell to find.
Yeah, and I'm glad that music is making a comeback as far as like musicianship and bands. Like
Yeah,
really, really being a rock band and 3 to however many dudes now too. There's lots of 2-man bands and it sounds great, but like it's getting in a room and creating together is the whole deal. Like you can do it by yourself all you want. It can sound badass, but it's not going to sound as good as 3 other brains.
right.
It's just got to be a work in progress, and it's hard to find people that want to do that these days.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to break through, man. I mean,
Yeah, that's why it's hard to find people
yeah.
because
Well, I mean, some of the best bands that are out there and have a nice fan base, but it's so hard to get attention from the higher up to progress to where, say, a
yeah,
Demon Hunter is, or
yeah.
a band like that.
Well, I mean, it takes years.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've been doing it pretty good for the last 8 to 10, but like still they were banned for 10 years before that.
Yeah.
So it just takes time and it takes being relentless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's about. I mean, if you're doing what you love and you got a good product, I don't see how I could ever stop.
Yeah, dude. I mean, again, I'm not doing anything super active. I'm in the Suffer Cult, but it's me and a drummer, Ryan
Yeah.
Wood, and we just write and create and do when we can. Now we've got a lot of songs, but we don't have the money or the time to actually put forth what we would want. So that's why it's so
Yeah.
special now. Now it's like we can take as long as we want and do what we want to do and no one can say shit.
Yeah.
Because we're just doing it for ourselves now. And obviously, if people start to dig it, that's cool. But like,
Yeah.
the thought of even playing a show at this time doesn't even cross my brain because it's just the two of us and he's in Seattle. And if it's on demand, if someone needs it and is demanding it, then maybe we'll do it. But other than that, we're just going to keep creating music and keep doing it because it's fucking fun,
Yeah.
and it keeps us sane and it keeps us creative and changing shit up.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But
look,
I'm
man,
glad.
I want to ask you, I want to get the kind of the whole story on the Becoming because,
Oof.
really, really when I found the band, I was a huge fan of the music, but I didn't, I don't know, it kind of seemed like y'all weren't doing a whole lot, or maybe y'all had just kind of called it,
Yeah.
quits or something like that.
Well, we had been touring pretty heavily for a good amount of time, years.
Yeah.
And we put the record out on Tooth and Nail, and or Tooth and Nail put the record out, however you want to
Right.
say that. And it was cool. Who doesn't want to be on Tooth and Nail, especially in that era? Tooth and Nail was a staple,
Hell yeah.
because uh, a lot of the bands that we liked and that we grew up with, on the heavier side, not necessarily Christian or this or that, it was just cool music regardless.
Right.
Um, and it was cool. It was my dream to be on Tooth and Nail or Solid State, growing up, and it was all good. And we went through that and released the record. And long story short, man, we just ran into some differences. We were touring for a long time. We changed members. I think we had fucking 6 or 7 drummers in a period of a year and a half or two, because we were just touring. We had to find someone to do it, and
Right.
like, it was just, it was tough, and we were touring and we were gaining fans and we were on great tours and things were happening, but we ran into some internal trouble and, a potential lawsuit because of the name. There was a big mix up and we had to change
Yeah.
the name to We Are the Becoming. And, uh, so that just kind of put a real big damper on the momentum. And we were all, we had been friends and in a band for a long time, and we were pretty young when we had started. I had came out of a couple other bands from Kansas City, and so did Corey and Caleb, and we were just trying something new. Like I was writing these songs because I was listening to Fields of the Nephilim and Sisters of Mercy and a lot of Depeche Mode, and I was just really into this like dark, ambient, droney
Yeah.
shit, which I've always been into it. But at the time I was in a punk band, and I'd been in that band for a long time. At the same time, being in a death metal band, I was in, 2 or 3 different bands for 6 or 7 years total, in all of them, which is also that death metal band that I was in called Dirge is how I met, you know, basically all the people that I know surrounding the Demon Hunter crew and all those guys and our friends. And it just all intertwined because we've been touring in so many different bands for so long. And I was, 15, 16 when that was going on. But long story short, I started The Becoming and I got a publishing deal and I moved to Nashville and I was writing these songs and the publisher was like, dude, stop writing these songs. These songs that are all sounding the same. You need to start a band. These songs are awesome. We'll hook you up and we'll get you a production deal and start this and that. And I was like, sick. Okay, let's do it. So I went back to Kansas City and found some band members and met Caleb and I already knew Corey. And I guess I had known Caleb before too, and we just started doing it, dude. We just started making music and things just started happening because it was in the day and age where like if you were a new band on the scene, everyone wanted to know what was happening, so
Yeah.
it built pretty quickly and we didn't get huge by any means, but we were definitely playing shows where we were the opening act and selling more tickets than the people we were opening for.
Yeah.
That started happening, so we got more attention and right, as it seems, we were right at the cusp of like make or break because we've been touring for at least 5 years, I think, off and on and hard and just working in between tours. And yeah, everybody just kind of, we went through some turmoil, and we got back from the tour, and we're like, do we want to keep doing this? Do we want to keep doing this? And a couple of us decided we wanted to go a different way, and then the other couple just decided to be done.
Yeah.
And we were all in our mid-20s, and I guess really we just decided to kind of end on top, of where
Yeah.
we thought we were on top. We were bigger than we ever thought we could be, and it wasn't even that big, but we felt like we were just in a good spot to go. We can either release volume 2 like we planned, or we can just be done and let's see what happens. And it ended on weird terms. I don't want to say bad, because no one doesn't like anybody, as far as I know. We all, catch up every now and then, not as often as any of us would like, but we definitely keep in touch. And but yeah, it was just a weird, it just kind of ended, and all of us were like, okay, well, it's done. It just kind of fizzled out really quickly.
Well,
we had some tours even booked, and we were just like, nah, we're just gonna be done.
yeah.
Some of the legal stuff that was going on, it was just going to be a lot, and none of us really were able to deal with it.
Yeah, well, touring for a long time, I mean, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't tour like 300 days a year or anything.
Yeah.
We were touring as much as every tour that came across our way we took.
Yeah.
And it was on the road quite a bit, which I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. We could have put out volume 2, and who knows, but that's the thing. We didn't know if we wanted to keep doing it.
Yeah, well, you could still put out volume 2 in the days to come.
Shit, man, I don't know. Like I've talked to a few of the guys, and a few of them are really down, but like when I sit down and work on music now, it's not so much the same. I can definitely write that, and I do. I have most of volume 2 pretty much there. There's structures, and it's there, and the song ideas are there. It's not 13 songs, but it's definitely 9, and then they need a lot of work and a lot of attention. And I just stopped. We all stopped working on that stuff and started doing other ventures. I went and played with Project 86 and a couple other bands shortly after that. But it was, it's going to take a lot of work, which I'm willing to do as soon as I have the time. I would love to put those songs out, but it won't be the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it would be my projection of, We Are the Becoming, or The Becoming, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it something else, but I'm hoping that some of the other members of the Becoming, or We Are the Becoming rather, will want to be a part of it. And like I said, a few of them have said that they would. I gotta get to the point to where I'm able to work on the Suffer Cult stuff and a couple of these other projects that I have in line before I do that, because I mean, shit, the volume 1 just randomly became available on Spotify and Apple Music, and I didn't put it up. I don't know who put it up. It fall under these random artists, but trying to figure that out. But in this day and age, that's a big feat.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it come up on Spotify, and I'm like, well, that can't be right, because it's like it looks like some young high school kid.
I mean,
something.
Obviously I want that music. I want that album to be available to people that want to listen to it.
Yeah.
But like, again, there was some weird legal stuff. And again, this isn't even, I'm going on the record here saying this is nothing to do with me. Like this became available because the people wanted it. Apparently people wanted to hear it. I've been trying to figure out the best way to do it step by step, and all of a sudden it's available and someone put it up, and it wasn't any of us, so whatever.
Well, that album is definitely it's definitely lightning in a bottle. It's like it's awesome, man. I
Thanks, dude.
can't. The only way I got that album was I think I've bought that album 3 times on eBay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just because I'll have it, and then one time it fell out of my truck and it got all fucked up, and then the next
Damn,
time
dude.
I had it and I lost it, and now I was looking for my other copy and I can't find it, so looks like I'll probably be
Well,
going to eBay again.
man, honestly, I think I have 2 copies still in the
Yeah,
plastic,
yeah.
and I ran into some trouble, or I didn't run into some trouble. I lost some of my shit in a storage unit that I was sharing with a buddy, and it was a big mess, and I was on the road, and it got whatever, but it had all my keepsakes, which was all of that stuff, all the
Oh, that's
posters.
terrible, dude.
I mean, that shit happens. It's just material stuff. I remember it all, but it still kind of sucks because I would have had a box of
Right.
CDs just to like give out to the people that really want it, because it's not available. You can't find it. You
Yeah.
can't find it anywhere. I don't know how that happened, and I guess, like I said, we just kind of let it die, but it's not died. It's apparently, I get emails and messages all the time about, hey, listening to this. Why can't I find this? What's going on with this? And I'm like, I don't have answers, dude. I'm just here.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you think it would be just as important to people now? Like, years later, did you think that people would still
you
be
know, uh,
stoked about it?
um, I had hoped for sure.
Yeah.
That's, if anyone's going to connect to anything that I write or create or anything that I'm a part of, which was, a number of bands, if any of those songs can make it, you know,
Yeah.
and people will remember and still want to listen to it, then yeah, that's what we are in a band for. We want people to be able
Yeah.
to relate, like go back and go, even if it's just hearing that part of the song where they're like, oh shit, I remember when this song came out, or I remember what I was doing the first time I heard this. That's what music to me is. So,
Yeah.
that's that. I love that feeling going, oh shit, man, I forgot about this. Hell yeah. Or this song, every time I hear it, it makes me feel this. So yeah, I had hoped that, but I don't think I would would have thought that this kind of stuff was coming back up. And again, it's not anything big, or it's just enough people over the last few years have been like hitting me up, or hitting the Facebook up, just going, what's going on? I've been listening to this, when are you guys going to be available on this or that? And I'm like, I don't know, keep it alive. And they have been.
Yeah.
I mean, people want to hear it, and they found a way to hear it, I guess. So that's cool. I mean, I can't say that I'm not happy about that. That's really fucking cool to be part of a band that did something,
Yeah.
and like made some sort of wave that still ripples on through a little bit of time. So, but no, I didn't expect it to last this long, but
Yeah.
I'd hoped that sometime someday that someone would go back and go, dude, there was this band, The Becoming. We Are the Becoming. Yeah, they had to change their name to We Are the Becoming, and go, what happened to them? This band was, one of those bands in a time. That's cool. I hope that someday we're on this weird compilation of, you know,
Right.
cool bands that you may have missed. Like
Yeah.
that's the best that I can hope for. And if it gets there, then hell yeah, then I achieved my dream again.
Right. Yeah. I hope one day there's a resurgence of that. There's a resurgence of whatever happened between 2005 and 2009, man. The hot topic, the
Right.
music, the
Yeah.
culture. I
It
mean,
was
dude,
definitely a
even
culture thing for sure.
yeah, man,
Because the
all the
music,
bands, the emo, the goth, man, I'm living for
yeah.
a
Well,
day
and
that
then there was a
comes back.
time where it all kind of intermingled. It all
Yeah,
happened really fast, and there were a lot of really cool bands, and they all fed off each other because it was a thing.
yeah,
We were this like, are these guys goth? Are they rock? Are they like punk? What is going on here? It happened in a way better version to me in the 80s and into the 90s, where obviously a lot of the greats came from. you know but like there were a lot of great bands in the early 2000s that were doing really cool, like ambient goth and not even goth, but just dark, moody,
Yeah, just melodic.
melancholy music. Yeah, melodic. And Typo Negative fucking started that. They were one of the bands that started that movement, where it
Oh
was
yeah.
just like, are they rock and roll? Are they punk? Are they goth? What is this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it
so
was hard
yeah,
to define, but
music as a whole, like I said, as far as like bands and the whole actual, finding a guitarist of a band that you like that isn't virtuoso. It's coming back.
right.
Music, rock and roll is making a comeback, and bands are making a comeback. It's just, you got to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting on that. I'm holding out hope for that day.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, look, man, some of the tours. So like y'all road dogged it as much as you could. What were some of your favorite tours that you were a part of?
Oh
So,
man,
some of the favorite bands that you got to play with and
my favorite tour, and I mean, I loved all the tours, but they were all kind of like, they all kind of ran together for a while, and we did
yeah.
play with some really good bands. But man, we toured with the 69 Eyes, and that was the tour. It was everything, you know, everything that I hoped and everything that I didn't expect it to be, because it was just that. Those guys were fucking crazy, but also just super sweethearts, and they partied with us and we partied with them. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that they were too big shot to do anything, but that band was a big deal. It wasn't like one of our favorite bands at the time, but they
Right.
were a big band in that genre, and they ended up calling us the Nashville Vampires, Nashville Vampires.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, man.
but like, because there were a lot of bands doing that, glam rock, goth look thing or whatever. But
Right.
you know, at that time, we kind of felt like we wanted to be like Motley Crue and just live it. And so we looked
Yeah.
that way every day, whether you were, walking into a grocery store, walking on stage, you looked the same. You wanted people to go, that dude's in a band. What do
Yeah.
they sound like?
And y'all
So
definitely had to look. If anybody watches this, check out the I Cry video. Dude,
yeah, dude,
check out the video for I Cry by The Becoming. Y'all got that
that
y'all got that shit down pat.
that was that was fun. It ended up not really being uh the video that we had hoped, but we also had never done a video before. Like,
Yeah.
we had done videos in our other bands, but this was just like, it turned out being all right and pretty good for what it was, but like, we just got in there and we did it in one day, and had no plan. We let the director do
Right.
it, and at the time it was like a tooth and nail. They had like certain guys that would do certain things, on in each different category, and we got this guy to do our video, so we put out a video for the single. And yeah, it was fun. But we yeah, we definitely had to look.
Yeah.
It was makeup and flat irons and whatever we could to just look as, you know I guess at the point androgynous as possible, just
Right.
like, these guys, what's going on here? you know
Well, yeah, when you have the CD and then you turn it on the back, you're like, whoa, whoa.
yeah, yeah. And it folds out into a cross, and it's got like a cropped out cut of our
Yeah.
it's just, we knew what we were going for. We wanted to have that like Motley Crue esque, like, visual thing,
Right.
but also, be as melancholy and as dark as possible. Give you an eerie feeling, but also go, oh, I can sing along to this song, and it's gonna be,
Yeah.
good time.
Well, the thing about The Becoming is I mean, I guess if I had to put a label on it, it would be like melodic, uh I don't know, man. It's very melodic. It's almost like melodic goth rock.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
it's
know where
just
to put it. It's just we just kind of found our fan base by who liked the music. You know, they
yeah,
were coming to the shows, and all of a sudden they were telling their friends, and we'd have, the emo and the screamo kids, and then we have a couple metal guys that were like almost ashamed to be at the
right.
show, and then we had like the fans that basically listened to anything that Trent Reznor put out, anything that IMX would lay out, and anything that him would put out.
Yeah.
So we fell somewhere in this weird category. We weren't like My Chemical Romance, but we weren't him either. It was just
Yeah.
this,
I
we
can't
didn't.
I can't say that I've ever heard any band sound like The Becoming. It's
Oh,
definitely
dude, hell
had.
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely in its own lane to its own. I mean, I've never heard anything even close. I mean, of course, when you listen to 69 Eyes, and him, there's
Yeah.
always some element there, but
Well, they were our influence too.
yeah,
They're
but y'all
one of
were,
our
I mean,
influences.
y'all did a little different thing.
Yeah, and I
I
think
think it's
that.
why that album's so special to so many people because there's just not a whole lot of sound like that
Well, I
anyway.
appreciate that, man, and I guess now that you're saying that, you're right. Like I don't think I know of anything that sounds like it, and I
Uh,
wrote it.
yeah,
We wrote it as a band, and another thing too is Caleb and I's voice. It just really mixed well together, and there were two. We were both singing lead on more than half the songs on the record, and sometimes you
yeah.
couldn't tell who was who, but there was always that little bit of difference, and uh, yeah, I don't know what that is. I appreciate that.
Who
That's cool though.
who did the screaming on the last song? Who
Well,
was?
Caleb and I both did screaming at both times. It would just
Oh,
go back
okay.
and forth. So, I mean, our last sunrise.
No, it was oh man, I'm drawing a blank now.
I
Uh,
don't. I couldn't even tell you, man. Mm-mm. Under the full eclipse.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's Caleb and I both.
Okay.
We're just going back and forth. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was a cool dynamic because we'd been in a band together before where we sang, harmonies and stuff. And yeah, we just did it, and we had a lot more songs, and we were ready to do it, but it didn't end up being what any of us really wanted to do.
Right.
It wasn't that we didn't like the music or didn't dig this, just things fall apart. Shit happens,
Yeah, and they do.
and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You just got to go, well, we fucking did it. We did it to
Yeah.
the best of our ability, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I've been in bands too where, sometimes it's just like, it's time to let it go, Where
Yeah,
here we are
yeah,
and it's time to do something different.
yeah, totally. And it's honestly like if the Becoming was together, We Are the Becoming was still together, we'd have the same sound. It would be a totally different band, just
Yeah.
like every other band out there. And that's the thing I think that I wonder and think about the most is like if we did stay together, what would we sound like now? Like where would we be? And I'm writing music, pretty much on a daily basis, and it's if it was just me, I know exactly where it would be. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But as a band, you that's the only thing that I think about is, man, we would have a pretty fucking badass sound now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, yeah, if nothing else, it would be absolutely fucking incredible, whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, like growing and being in a band and knowing the next guy's move and just being able to feed off each other. There's nothing like it, dude. It's there's no drug in the world that can match that feeling of knowing that you're in a tight ass band and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're huge, doesn't matter if you get to experience that one time in your life, dude. That is what it's about, is rehearsing the same thing and all having the same goal,
Right.
is like make this sound as best as possible because we wrote it and it's fun.
Yeah.
We locked ourselves in a room for 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like being on stage and the feeling of, people complimenting your music and saying how much it means. And
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, there's just nothing in the world that'll ever compare to that for sure.
No, because if you can make something and create something that someone else is going to remember and someone else is going to relate to lyrically or musically, then you've done your job as an artist. You know, you've
Yeah.
you've you've got someone else to understand what you're trying to portray, and then they take it and run with it, and they got their whole thing. It means something totally different to them than it might mean to the person that wrote it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's really, I think, what keeps a lot of, you know, people going, is just knowing that they put something out there that was their heart and soul and someone got it, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, one of the biggest reasons I was so excited to meet you and be able to talk to you is, dude, like, I kind of kicked my own ass when I was younger because I told Matt, I was like, man, how the hell did I never hear this? How did I never know
Yeah.
about the album earlier? And
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite albums ever. I mean, it's in my top 10
Dude,
most likely. It's just
hell
like
yeah.
it's right there, dude.
Thank you. Thank
Well, the
you.
thing about it, there's no bad songs. Like they're
Uh,
all just as good as the next, I think.
I feel like there aren't bad songs, but I feel like there are some that I'm not crazy about. And it's, you know, it is what it is. You know, you're all in there, and you gotta give and take. You know, when you're writing a song and people,
Yeah,
3 out of the 5 like this part better than this part, you're like,
that's right.
fuck,
I
you
know
know.
it. I know it.
But hey, dude, they're great songs, and people, yeah, I appreciate that, dude. That's fucking
Yeah.
cool. I haven't, especially somebody that I respect, and you're in a band that I enjoy and I listen to, and I knew who you were before. When you told me, I was like, what? For real?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like,
That was
it
crazy
was
to
a great
me.
it was a great little surprise. You were surprised that it was me, and I was surprised that it was you. So there you
Yeah.
go. You know. Well,
Yeah, that was still hard to believe, but I'll
yeah,
take it.
it was a good little meeting, and yeah, yeah, dude, I appreciate that. That
Yeah.
means a lot.
Uh,
The other guys will appreciate that as well. I'll definitely let them know.
yeah. Yeah. I was talking to the lead singer and I was like, man, because when I left, dude, like, I mean, I just saw Demon Hunter and I just met you and I was hanging out with Matt and it's just like one of the coolest nights.
Yeah, dude. I
I
I
was
mean, I,
talking,
I
I was
walked
talking
away
to
from
our,
that show.
yeah, I was talking to our lead singer and I was like, man, I met this guy and I pulled up a picture of you online. I was like, look, man, this is his band. Like they were huge to me, and
Yeah.
I was like, and I told him, I said, yeah, he knows us, and and he said he really enjoys it. And Tom was like, he was probably just lying.
No, dude. No. I remember specifically my buddy told me, we were sitting out on his porch around a fire, or not on his porch, but like on the side of his porch. And he goes, dude, because I met him. I met him in a bar. We were both drinking, sitting in this tiny ass bar back to back in like high rise tables. And Black Number One came on in the middle of this bar that you wouldn't really think Black Number One would come on, and it's
Right.
loud over the speakers. And so I'm like leaning back, singing the words, and he's leaning back, and we like bump into each other and look at each other and like turn. And dude just kind of fell in love with each other right then and there, because we were singing the words to the Typo, the only people out of like 100 people in this bar, the only two
Yeah.
guys. And so we just became friends off of Typo Negative, like um, just craziness, and like he's the one that actually told me again on his porch. He goes, dude, have you heard of October Noir? And I'm like, no, but that's an awesome band name. And he goes, listen to this, and plays it. And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? Where did this come from? And we listened to it the rest of the night, and I've been listening to it since then,
It's
and
awesome.
it was just a perfect meeting, like seeing
Yeah.
you, and I'm like, oh shit. And you were like, okay.
Yeah, man. Well, actually, when I met Jeremiah that night, he had on a Typo Negative
Yeah,
shirt,
yeah,
and I had one of our cards in my pocket, and I was like, man, if you like Typo Negative, and I handed him the
yeah,
card, I'm like, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, man, Jeremiah, please go check this out. I mean, I
yeah,
can't,
dude.
I can't help it, dude. You always got. I'm always in the mindset of sharing it and go
Yeah.
check it out.
And honestly, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's how we came up with the Becoming Key on the hoodie and on all the shirts and shit, because we wanted people that we would wear, like, shameless self promotion. We would,
Yeah,
as soon as we got a brand new piece of merch, we would just wear it, because if you're out, you don't have cards, you don't have, little
stickers and
flyers,
stuff.
handbills,
Yeah,
stickers. You're wearing the shirt, and if it's badass enough, people go, "What is that?"
yeah.
Icebreaker, and then it's awesome merch. They come to the show, they buy the merch, found a new fan. So that's
That's just what you do when you're in a band, man. That's
yeah,
like,
that's just how it is. You just got to do it. Yeah.
if you're in Corn or whoever, you don't have to do that necessarily. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a huge band, like, any huge band, you don't
Sure.
necessarily have to be so guided towards that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, you gotta do whatever you can to get your music in everybody's fucking ears,
yeah.
and it's easier yet harder now, because there's so much music
Oh,
in people's ears.
there's so much going on too. Like,
Yeah.
how do you even break through it all?
It's always been hard. It's just a lot harder now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, man. So look, that 69 Eyes tour, you were on tour with Damen too, right?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like that was the tour. I mean, the biggest bands that weren't already big bands,
Yeah.
on that tour. And it
Yeah.
was just anyone who knew that sound and was into that weird genre,
Right.
that small genre, they were at those shows. So that's when it started really kicking in and things started kind of happening,
Yeah.
in that scene.
Yeah. I didn't know. I saw a flyer. I saw that flyer a long time ago. Dude, I think I would give a finger and a toe and maybe something else to have been able to see one of those shows with you and
Right.
Damen and 69 Eyes, man.
Dude, it
I
was so,
actually I actually got to see Damen in 2010. They were on tour with him. Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
and I know you can't see it, but it's way up there. I got a poster that Damen had signed, and
Yeah, I can see it. I can see
yeah,
it.
dude, that
Dude,
was just
talk
the most
about great
some
dudes.
one of the most incredible bands. Um, Me and my buddy, we went all the way to Atlanta to see him,
Yeah.
and
I was at that show.
really,
Reunion show?
no,
Oh,
oh,
oh, sorry.
oh, the reunion show in 2017. You mean?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, in
there too in
Atlanta?
Buckhead.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It was
I
great.
was there. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, him and CKY, dude.
Woo.
I was sad. I was sad, dude. And like looking around and I'm seeing these middle-aged, women and dude,
Uh-huh.
everybody's crying and I'm just like, oh shit.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Yep. It was a good time.
But yeah, in 2010 I saw Damen. They opened for
Mhm.
him and I'll never forget, me and my buddy talk about it all the time. There was this chick, and she was a show chick, and she fit the part. She was the goth queen there.
Oh yeah. There was
And
always at least one,
yeah.
but
Well,
mostly three.
she tapped on my shoulder and she's like, "Hey, do you mind if I get in front of y'all to see Damen?"
Yeah.
She's like, "I just want to see Damen, then I'm leaving." And I was like, "Man, she's just getting in front of us to do this whole thing." Well, she rocked out to Damen, and as soon as Damen got done, she
Oh
left.
yeah. Dude, they had their own thing going. They
Dude,
didn't need any.
that was the first time I had ever heard Damen, and I was
Dude.
like, "Wow."
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I got home, I popped that CD in my iPod and downloaded it all. And
I remember one time Chris told me, he goes, "What are you guys tuned to?" And I was like, "What are you tuned to?" And he goes, "We're in standard." And I go, "Oh, we're not in standard." But I remember being blown away going, "What the fuck? They got this huge sound out of standard." And they just had it. They had
yeah,
exactly. Damen was one of those bands that definitely 100% should have gotten way more credit and way more They should have got way bigger. They should
Yeah.
have. There's still no band to me that has ever sounded like Damen. You know, they have obvious, you know, influences,
Oh
but
yeah.
for the time, they were doing something completely different than
Oh
any other.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't hear goth rock that mixed with that rockabilly, and then like the keys, the
Yeah,
keyboard player.
yeah,
That's what made it sound so unique. I mean, I would
yep,
have never thought they were in standard either.
sure. And you know, there are tons of bands that you can go, oh yeah, Damen sounds like this or Damen did this, but no, yeah, I mean, they had influences, but Damen did their own fucking
Yeah.
thing, and they had a sound that was new and fresh, new and fresh.
Yeah. Well, it blew my mind that the Becoming and Damen were on tour together. And with a 69 Eyes, man,
Yeah,
that sounds like a show that I couldn't have dreamed up, you know? Like,
well, I mean,
if I
dude, same.
did,
Same. Back in the day, we were just like, "What the fuck? We're going on this tour. This is it.
yeah.
We made it. This is what we wanted, you know, and we're here. This is cool, you know." And still, I just it was weird. It wasn't like starstruck. It was just like, this is it. This
Yeah.
is this is exactly what we're trying to go for. This type of mixture of sound and this mood. You know, the show when
Right.
you walked into the show, there was a mood, you know, and it was set from the get-go. And it was just that. It was almost like the same kind of feeling you get when you walk into a badass haunted house or something, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's so cool, man.
But yeah, that was definitely the tour of tours for me. Uh, just because it all came together the way it was
Yeah.
supposed to, you know.
Well, from my perspective, sitting over here thinking about it, I don't know how a tour could have been that much cooler than being with those bands.
Yeah,
You know?
it was cool, man. We were very very lucky and just super pumped that we were
Yeah.
able to do that. It was definitely, I guess, a blessing is the only thing I can really say. You know, it was just the whole experience was great. You know,
Right.
there were some wild times, but you
Well,
know,
yeah, they're supposed to be.
and we were partying. You know, a lot of shit and a lot of tours. I don't I don't really remember total specifics. You
Yeah.
know, just because of what it was. But I mean, we
Yeah.
were on tour with fucking Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and there was this one band. They were huge on the radio. I forget what they were called, but that was another crazy tour, dude. Just insanity, where we were just like, there are 2,000 people here, and this band is so hammered on stage they can't even, you
Yeah.
know, and we're like, what is going on? You know, just all of those. They all kind of mix together in a certain, you know, time, but I every now and again something will come up and be like, holy shit, that happened and we were there and that was awesome. You know,
Yeah.
like uh yeah, man.
Well,
I don't
I always find myself longing for just that time in my life, man.
yeah.
You know, just that music and those bands and just
Yeah,
discovering it all for the first time. That was definitely like, I don't know, that was my golden age of
sure.
tunes.
And I would say for me it was too, you know, because being in that band, it opened up a lot of doors. We toured with a lot of bands, you know, like that we never thought that we would tour with or
Yeah.
that we didn't even think really meshed, and then it started opening doors to other influences and other, you know, bands that I still listen to this day that like I never would have heard of if it wasn't for being on that specific tour. I wouldn't have seen them. I wouldn't be a fan. I wouldn't follow them for all these years, you know.
Yeah.
uh yeah, I wouldn't. I loved that time. You know, it was something that you almost kind of take for granted. You know, it's like you're in it and you're like struggling and you're trying to do it, and then there's, you know, mountains and there's valleys, and then all of a sudden 10 years later you're like, I
Oh
wouldn't do
yeah.
that again. I wouldn't do that again, but I really miss that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you had it all to do over, you'd do it all. Just probably the same way and still be happy with it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is that we don't get to. So you gotta kind of see it for what it was and not let it
Yeah.
destroy you, but also, make sure that it lifts you up and go, fuck yeah, dude, I did it. I did
Yeah.
everything. We did everything we could and we did it and it was done. And now look at us. We're all
Yeah.
doing things and everybody's got families and lives and we'll never forget that. We'll
Right.
never forget that time. And it helped shape who we are now.
Yeah. Well, lucky for you, man, you still get to hang out with cool people and go on tour,
Yeah.
whenever you want, really. I mean,
Yeah.
if
Whenever I'm asked, for sure.
yeah. And then you still get to be out there and man,
Yeah.
being on the road with Demon Hunters fucking had to be so awesome, dude. And
Yeah. I mean, those guys I'm telling you, like it's sitting on the stage, watching them do their thing and watching everyone react to it.
yeah,
Again, it's a whole other feeling that I've never experienced, man. Like being up there, not, you know, doing anything but making sure that everything goes
right.
as perfect as
Yeah.
possible. It felt like it was my band. It
Yeah.
wasn't my band. I didn't even know half the words to half the songs or half the melodies. I just, you know, it becomes a work thing and then all of a sudden it's part of your deal,
Right.
they definitely could have done the show without us, but we made it easier for them, and sometimes we didn't make it easier for her, but yeah, dude, it was. I'm. I love that I know those guys. I love that they're my friends. Um, and honestly, like I I don't necessarily even know many Demon Hunter songs. It's not that. Those guys have just been my friends
Yeah.
for such a long time that, you know, their band is my band in my eyes. If I'm
Right.
helping them, that's it. So if something went wrong or something, it just felt like, oh no, we fucked up. We gotta, fix it.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to get to jump and run whenever you get the opportunity and still go
Yeah,
out and
yeah,
see the world and see the states and
for sure.
now you got the Suffer Cult, which
Yeah,
man, yeah, like so you got two songs on Spotify and man, Moonhanger,
right.
dude. It
Yeah,
like when I listen, I think about like almost like a Thrice vibe.
okay.
Very,
Yeah,
very, very like I mean it's nasty. It's
yeah,
twangy
yeah.
and but
And
it's spot on.
that's that's kind of the thing. Like the Suffer Cult it is what it is. Like
Yeah.
I just didn't want any rules. I didn't want any expectations. I just kind of want to, in this day and age, we don't have a way of affording to put out a full album unless we do it all ourselves,
Yeah.
which we're progress or in the process of doing. Um, but I just wanted these songs that we're releasing are 5 years old
Right.
because everything we've been working on since then is like in order. So we've got another 30 songs at least that we're working on trying to figure out how we're going to release them because we just want to have a catalog of the beginning to current times,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, all my influences. The Suffer Cult is all my influences in one band finally. It's
Yeah.
like it's one entity that's going to have it's going to have all my Stone Temple Pilots, it's going to have all my Soundgarden, it's going to have all my Hymn, it's going to have all my Striper, it's going to have every single influence I've ever had in one band.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. We wanted it to be no rules. We wanted it to be very visual and uh, no pressure as well. Because, like, again, we don't. Ryan just she's almost 2, so as long as we've been in a band, he's had a daughter. So it's just, we work when we can, and that's the great part about it. It's our escape, and we're just releasing pretty much every song we work on that way, and a year and a half, hopefully there's like 30 songs that you're like, is this the same band? What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Because the new stuff, like, we're releasing one more song hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks, as soon as we're in the mixing process right now. But we're hoping that also we're working on a video. I'm just making the time to actually finish it. We've got 3 videos in the making right now for the 3 songs that are released. But back to the Moonhanger, that's more of the direction that all the newer stuff is going, like darker, a little more melancholy, a little I don't necessarily want to say heavier, but it's still going to have that, like, I'm just a 90s dude, the grunge era is my favorite, and it's just kind of how I write. You can even hear it in The Becoming. It's just there. It's that whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I can't change it.
I know. Yeah, I know what you
How
mean.
it comes out,
Yeah.
But we're just riding with it, and it just keeps getting darker and a little bit more moody,
Yeah. It'll get like that.
and we're just embracing it, man. Like, we're just gonna release as many songs as possible, and just keep feeling it. And it's changing. That, again, these songs that we're releasing are 5 years old. We're just gonna eventually catch up to where we're at, because we're constantly working on something. I don't know if that's a great way to do it, but that's the only way we know.
Well, I mean, you don't really have any rules, You just kind of do what you want. You don't have a label. I mean, you don't really have a label or anything behind you telling you what to do. So,
which is a great thing, but also, sometimes you need that.
I know.
Depending on where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's hard to know what you want to be, man. You can be right on the cusp of it, and then you're like, oh, am I sure that I want this? Because
well, man, I don't think I'm not entirely sure you ever really know, because by the time you get there, you've got new goals and new aspirations and shit.
Yeah.
It's like you get where you get and you make new goals. You just got to remember that you got there, and then you started over at some point at a different level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes I think, man, I'd love to be touring but man, with all that, there's a price to pay.
It's tough, man.
There's a price to pay. There's sacrifices to be made, and I don't know if I could,
It's tough on life. It's tough financially, regardless of how much money you're making, unless you're giant, and it's really tough on relationships. If you want a relationship, man, you gotta be tough, and you gotta be stern when you're on the road, because even if you're good, you're still away from your family or your loved one for months at a time, dude. That's a big deal, and certain things change. I'm not going to say I will never tour again, but touring has no real appeal to me at this point in my life, because I just have other things that I love and I want. I will always love music, and I hope that I always do it. I feel like I will. But, like, if someone goes, hey, we want the Suffer Cult to tour for 3.5 months, I'm going to be like, not happening. I'll be like, I'll do a couple of, online shows and like a week. Let's start there.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to be realistic too. I mean, we get offers to do a lot of shows, and they don't want to pay you anything. Like, well,
no, man.
That's not the way this is going to go.
And it's not like they have to pay you out the ass. They just got to pay you. They got to pay you enough to, well, they don't have to do anything. They should be wanting to pay you to bring in business. It's not like you guys aren't going to promote. And that's what sucks about, we used to think was super shitty back in the day, where it's like, oh, we're going to give you a door deal. However many people you bring in, you get. Well, that worked. Yeah. Because you're like, the more money or the more people we bring in, the more money we're going to be able to make for the show and get to the next one. So, it does work the same way, but it's just not the same.
Oh yeah.
You don't see the money that even you used to. Guarantees aren't the same. Guarantees are lower, and everything costs more now.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
It's hard to make it as a band. It's always been hard, and it's super hard now because lots of bands that you feel like don't deserve it are out there making it, and the bands that you feel like deserve it are struggling like motherfuckers, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
endless. It's endless,
Oh,
but
I see that all the time, man. And that's when I just, I don't talk about it, you don't talk
yeah.
about it or
hmm
dog anybody out, but it's like, holy shit, dude, really? You
Well,
know?
because you're supposed to be in it together. You guys are supposed to be doing the same thing and trying to make it and helping
Yeah.
each other out. But now it's kind of like dog eat dog.
Oh,
It's like
it's dog, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
head to head, and no one wants to help anybody. Like
No,
it's
no, it's a brutal place out there, man. There's no camaraderie, between bands that have any kind of stature.
yeah.
It's all cutthroat. I mean,
Well, and that's another thing about the suffer cult that is happening, and also in the grand scheme of things, the plan. I want to involve all of my friends that are talented, that
yeah,
aren't really doing anything, but that they just got that something, whether it be videography or mixing or something. I'm trying to involve in every different release. I'm trying to involve you know uh, the same people that we've used in the past, also new people, new friends that I'm like, dude, be a part of this somehow. And
yeah,
it's going to be this whole group of dudes that are suffering through the same thing that is what we know as life, but also you know understanding that this is a lot of suffering, and we just got to get through it, and we got to come together and be together and use all of our talents and all of our gifts and just do it together. Because
yeah.
if you don't have other people to help you, dude, what are you doing? You know
Oh, I
what I'm
know.
saying? You can't do it on your own, especially now. You got to have a team. And if my team is my friends and it's my band at the same time, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, well, everywhere I go, man, I'm always befriending people and, trying to lift people up, and it's just
yeah.
weird. It's just weird to think that there's a whole lot of people out there that aren't that way. It's foreign for me to think,
Yeah.
but
And that's the big thing. You just got to try and be good and lift people up at all times, like you were
yeah.
saying. Don't, and there's plenty of mean people out there,
Oh
and
yeah.
we need to be nice and accepting, and that's a lot of you know what you would think would be common sense is just be good to people, uh, but it's kind of fallen along the wayside, especially in the music industry.
Oh yeah. Well, man, the whole world is it's hard. I can't speak for the whole world and the way things are.
No,
Dude, it's a different beast out there than it
it
ever
is.
was.
It
That's
is.
all we'll say. It's
It
different
is.
times.
And
Strange times.
yeah, and I'm I'm not trying to bring anyone down ever with any sort of music or anything that I create. I just want to be, even with the becoming, like I wanted to be as real as
Yeah.
possible so people would, know that there are faults and you can fucking move past it and get over it and see it for what it is and not
Yeah.
be stuck carrying that burden all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think it's about bringing anybody down. It's just, man, when you're in the trenches and you're in the pits and you're writing
yeah,
about it, man, it's very uplifting to other people.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
almost, it's almost like it shouldn't be like this is me struggling but hey,
right.
I mean, you know, you listen to songs like that and it lifts you up. It's always been
Well,
that way.
and if nothing else, if anyone can, feel what's going on in a song, and I, if you can feel it, it's usually uplifting. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It usually makes you feel something good, unless you're looking for that depressed mode. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Which is important to me. When I'm feeling something and I'm in the muck and the mire and down, I want to listen to something that's going to be where I'm at, but that
Right.
also brings me out of that shit.
Yeah.
It helps me go, okay, fuck this.
Yeah, man.
It's time. I got what I needed. I needed to feel it. I needed to be there. It's time to crawl out.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, depression and anxiety are real, dude. They're super
Yes.
real. Like it's something that people don't even realize they have because they've just been living with it for so long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. When I was younger, I think it almost killed my ass.
Yeah,
Graduating high school, just crazy times of my life, and
sure.
not knowing what was next. And oh, dude, I was down and
Yeah,
out for a long time, man.
yeah. And people don't actually admit to themselves that they've dealt with depression. You
Yeah.
know, it's it's like a battle that they've lost and a battle that they don't want to admit that they've lost,
Yeah.
because you're in it. You're in the fucking middle of it. And you know, I'm just glad that music is an outlet for that,
Oh
for me
yeah.
especially. Lots of bands have changed my life. I have lists for days of bands that have have single-handedly changed the course of my life and the way that I lived life.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's cool to be able to keep doing that in my own way, and maybe something will come of it, and maybe somebody will
Yeah.
go, oh yeah, I feel that same way. That's cool. I
Well,
like.
dude. Yeah. With Volume One, like that album helped me. You know.
Nice, dude. Good.
Dude, I was in a bad. We've all been in bad places time and time
Sure,
again.
sure.
It's not just like, oh, I was really down and out this one time. It's a cycle of, it's ebbs
Yeah,
and
of
flows of
course.
those things. But yeah, man, that album was hugely important to me through a lot of those times.
That's that's awesome.
Because I'm 31, so I was quite a bit younger when y'all
Yeah,
were,
yeah,
when y'all put the album out. I was quite a bit younger.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
dude, that thing was right there with me in some
Sure.
serious times.
Dude, that means a lot because
Yeah.
we were all going through some serious times as well. Like it just it's that's what it's about, and that makes me feel really good, and it will make the other guys feel awesome too, because this is something that we did so long ago that they
Yeah.
might think about it every now and then. We might think about it every now and then, and it's like, oh yeah, we did something. This is cool.
Yeah.
And it means a lot because at that time, like, you know, specifically during that time, my reach, that's what I wanted. I just wanted people to get something out of it. That's what I was doing it for. Is not
Yeah.
not to get anything really for myself. I mean, we all wanted, we all had the dream of playing on big stages and shit like that. But really, my favorite part about it was walking out in the crowd before we ever played and like talking to people and going, "Who you here to see?" "Yeah, that band fucking rules." And they're like, "Who are you here to see?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here to see these guys, but we're about to play." And they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool." And then to go and see them again and see them show up time after time, and a bunch of them would come back with tattoos of the Becoming and lyrics on their arms and on their legs and stuff, and I'm just like,
Yeah, man, that's intense.
what have I done here? I've actually gone and fucked up. These people are getting our lyrics tattooed
Yeah.
on their arms, and yeah, that meant something to me. But what? It's just there is that moment where you're just like, holy shit, there are people listening.
Oh
Even
yeah.
if it's 7 people,
Yeah.
those people were changed by something. So that means a lot, and that is actually, I would say, if I had to pinpoint it, that's why I've always done it, is so people can relate and I can go, I'm not alone, and I guess I'm doing something right.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I think you are. Well, I mean, it's been awesome to talk to you, and hopefully, whoever listens to this and listens back, they'll be
Yeah.
really inspired to check out this album that we're talking about.
Yeah, I
Check
hope
out
so.
Volume One by The Becoming, and check out, the Suffer Cult, and also check out bands like 69 Eyes and definitely Damen, that
Yeah,
y'all had a lot of
Dawn.
fun with.
Mm-hmm.
I always enjoy doing these talks, man,
Yeah,
because
me too, dude.
it's awesome. And
I haven't done anything like this in years. Like
yeah,
I haven't talked other than with my buddies. I haven't talked music. I haven't even talked about the becoming, and I don't know how long.
which is
Except for actually the last time I saw you.
Yeah. Well, which is crazy to me because it's just I don't know, it's so important to me and like and with Matt too. Yeah, that's just one of those albums that's so important that like, you got it up on the shelf over here.
Yeah,
Look at it, you just like, man, that's
dude.
that album for a
And
lot of
that
people.
that means so much, and that's I guess that's even kind of why I was even willing to do this, is because
Yeah.
I'm still doing my own shit, and that's a part of me, dude. That will never go away. That was my band for 8 years,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, I look totally different and this and that, and we, do different things and we have different sounds now. But man, that's what gets you to the next point,
Yeah.
like I don't know that I could. The only thing I can imagine about being in the becoming still after all these years, again, like I said earlier, is like what we would sound like now. But other than that, I'm like, damn, it would be hard to be in a band for fucking almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, and have to recreate the same sound and keep the same fans. It's tough. It's tough being in a band. It's tough being in a big band, a small band, because you're kind of, if you get too big, you're at the mercy of the people.
Right.
So it's like a catch 22. You want to get right where you're at. That's why I love where Demon Hunter is right now, is because they're calling the shots. They do what they want. You
Yeah.
know, when they get, win, because they will. They're going to be a big band. I believe it. They're a great band, and great dudes, which makes them even better.
Yeah, well, they're on a whole nother level. They're in a
Yeah.
whole nother dimension than other
Uh-huh.
bands, man. They're not selling out arenas, but they don't have to. Man, the fan base and
It's true, dude. It's the truest
and
fan base I think I've ever seen.
the tattoos, man, the merch, every time they put out merch, it's gone.
Yep.
Everything's gone. Like it
Every person that goes to that show is standing in line at the merch.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
person that shows up. It's wild.
Yeah, they
And
don't need to sell out arenas, man. They've done more than any of those bands could ever do. I mean,
they've lasted,
yeah.
and they're still going for a long time.
Yeah.
So
But
they're doing.
I tell you though, when you told me about the Suffer Cult, because like, how would I know, without you
Yeah,
telling me about,
right.
listen to that project. I can't wait for some more of that. I
Yeah,
mean,
dude. I'm really pumped about it.
yeah,
It's finally kind of everything I've always wanted to do in one project.
yeah,
When I started writing and collaborating with Ryan, my drummer, or the drummer of Suffer Cult,
right,
it just started coming alive, dude. It just started. We already had these songs worked out because I had them written 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Um, and then I worked them out and showed them to Ryan, and he's like, "I got to be a part of this, dude. Let me be a part of this. Let's write music together." And we did, and it started turning into this big, beautiful thing. And we have these songs we got to release. We got to get them out, and we're already working on this other stuff that I'm super pumped about. And I think that you know, if we get enough songs out in a good amount of time, you'll be able to see the progression in a shorter span,
right,
of how it started and then where it's at. And, you know, we've found our sound
yeah,
after we're releasing songs, so it's been fun, and I appreciate that, dude. I'm glad you dig it. I think that you may not love it, but I don't think you'll be able to deny that they're fucking cool songs.
oh, I think they're
Like,
great. I think they're great.
I
Like,
appreciate it, man.
like even who you are. I mean, it's great. It's great tunes, man.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like just 90s party rock mixed with a little bit of Melancholy and the Infinite
Yeah,
Sadness, you know.
that's right, dude. That's right.
And
That's
yeah,
right.
so I'm excited to show you some new stuff. We're releasing another song, hopefully this month.
Awesome.
We'll see what happens. It's just when we can get it. You know, our
Yeah.
producer is he's just fucking busy, man. He's just stacked. He's a badass. It's Rat King Records. He's awesome. But he's a busy man, and this is our love project. You know,
Yeah.
so he's got other stuff
Well,
going
I
on.
thought
And
I thought living in Nash Vegas, man, you could just throw a rock and hit a producer down there.
you sure can. You can hit three of them, but the one you wanted to hit is three or four more
Yeah,
rocks away. You know
that's
what I'm saying?
right.
You gotta toss a few to get
That's
the right
right.
one. You know, and like we were looking for a certain sound. You know, especially for these songs, we wanted them to hit heavy, and we wanted them to also be clean and crisp.
Yeah.
You know, the next section of songs may be a little bit different. You know, or because that's what I said. Like we want to involve everyone that's been involved.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time we'll use a different mixer or a different producer or a different engineer and then mix all of it together, you know, because that's the fun of it. You know, in this day and age, I'm used to fucking sitting down there messing with pedals and tweaking knobs and shit to get the tone that I want when I can go, this is the demo and let's fuck around and get the sound, you know, like, and that's what we look for in a producer. And a lot of these producers around here are not trying to do that. They're not trying to mess around. They're trying to get in there and get it done. And that's
That's
not what I'm
right.
about. I
Yeah.
want someone to get in there and be the next band member and
Right.
and feel it, you know, and that's important. A producer
Yeah.
is an extra band member.
It's hard to find it's hard to find a producer that really gives a shit about what you're trying to do because
Right.
they wanna get you in and get you out
Yep.
for
Well,
sure.
because you know, time is money,
Yeah.
and you know, a lot of guys now are just thinking about getting the next project going instead of working on this one that they put their time and their effort and their heart into. You know,
Yeah.
that's and a lot of times you can only find your friends to do that. So that's what we're doing, man. We're just gonna keep doing it the way that we can, and hopefully we
Yeah.
come up with some really badass shit.
Well, you'll be glad you did that. You'll be glad you did it that way in the end because you don't just want to shit out an album and then it's like, well, you know,
Yeah.
I can't, man. Oh man, on our last song that we finished, it's not out yet, but man, we went back and forth and
Yeah.
back and forth. I mean, I listened to it, listened to it, listened to it. He would
Yeah.
change something. I'm listening, I'm listening, I'm coming in.
Beating it like a fucking dead horse.
Dude, I'm coming in. I'm doing drums here. I'm taking drums out there. I'm doing a roll here and a but that's what it takes, man.
Dude,
That's what it takes.
you gotta know that song inside and out until you're sick of it. When you
Yeah.
hear that certain part of the song, you just want to fucking be done with it. But that's when it's done.
Right.
You
Yep.
know, when you're like, okay, I can't listen to this again. You go 3 or 4 weeks, don't touch it, don't sing it, don't hum it, forget about it, and go back to it, and you're like,
Yep.
okay,
That's
okay,
exactly what I do.
here we go. You got to give yourself space.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it too. I'm fucking terrible at giving myself space for the shit that I'm doing because I'll beat it to a dead horse, and then I'm
Yeah.
so exhausted on it, I have to walk away from it. And then 3 weeks later, I'm like, fuck, why did I do that? And I go back to the version before, you know, and
Yeah.
then it's done. It's done.
That seems to be how it works. You get all over it and all over it until you just finally have to put it down. Can't
Yeah, I mean,
physically take it anymore.
you want it to be right, but
Yeah.
it ain't ever gonna be just right. It's gonna
Well, I
be
Yeah, well, I found recording, it feels right, and then when you get on, you go live, you play it a little bit different, and you're like, "Fuck, we should have
Yep,
recorded it like that."
yep.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, you know, like in this day and age, man,
yeah.
you can always re-release a song. Who says you can't?
Oh, you can. You can. I was talking to Laguna Coil. They just redid their
Yeah,
entire album.
absolutely they
I think
did.
it's awesome,
Yeah, I mean,
man.
if you can do that and you have the means, why not? Because you've
Yeah.
been playing that song for how many years? How many, whatever. And you're like, this is better now.
Yeah. And if people don't like the new version, just listen to the old version.
Yeah.
I
What are
know.
they going to do? I don't like this song. What the
Oh
fuck?
man. People
Like,
get so
shut up.
pissed off. It's like, well, you have a
Yeah.
choice, You have a choice.
Well, people get all bent out of shape about bands changing their sound. And I used to be one of those people, man. I used to go, oh, man, I'm not crazy. I love this album, but I'm not
Yeah.
crazy about it because it sounds so different. Well, that all changed for me about 10 years ago, like legitimately. Because could you imagine if all these bands that we know and love stayed the same and
Yeah.
never fucking grew and never changed and never like got better together? We'd be
Oh
bored.
man.
We'd be bored
Yeah.
out of our minds.
Yeah.
So you got to allow that to happen. Plus, these guys, people shit on Metallica all the time. I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of town. It's
Right.
Metallica. They wrote some of the greatest songs ever and some of the worst songs ever, but they had to write those worst songs to be a band because you can't produce magic all the
Yeah.
time. Just doesn't. It's impossible.
Well, I like Load and Reload, man. I get
Well,
shit. I get shit about that
I
all the
do
time.
too. Dude, and I'm a huge Tool fan,
Yeah.
and Tool does no wrong to me. I don't care. People were shitting all over their last two albums, and I'm like, get real. Get real. These guys are fucking killing it, slaying it, and they've been around for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still kind of sound the same, but they're doing something different every record. Deftones, perfect example. Like, Deftones does no wrong. Every
Yeah.
album, they have some, you know, uh, but it's still the Deftones, and they're
I know it.
still
I know
magical.
it.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
Like, you gotta let
Like,
them, you gotta
I
let
mean,
them go
hey,
through it.
bad Deftones in your mind is still better than
Everything.
40% of like it still eclipses so many other bands and things, and I get it,
Yes,
dude.
it's unreal. Like, and bands that can do that. That's why I like them.
Yeah.
A lot of my favorite albums of bands are the ones that most people don't like, and it's not because, oh, I like this. It's like, oh, they finally did something different. That's my favorite album. That's the one. That's the
Right.
one that intrigued me the most after three records that sounded the same. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to be this, oh, I like all the shit no one else likes. Because, bruh, I am a pop dude and I love the hits. I love the big ones. But the ones that really get to me are the ones that aren't calling my name from the
Right.
beginning. They're the ones that kind of sneak up on me and that I fall in love with.
Yeah.
So, and that
Yeah.
happens to me with most bands.
I'm a deep track kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a deep track kind of guy all the time, most of the time, yeah. But like, yeah, there's not very many bands where people are like, yeah, this is my favorite song, and I love that band. I'm like, well, have you heard this one?
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
heard this one? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, you don't love this band. I don't like to be. I'm not snobby. I'm just like, when I love a band, I love a band. And
Yeah.
and I might not know the name of the song, but when it kicks in, I'll know every single motion in that song. But yeah, dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah, dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous at all. I was excited to talk
Oh,
to you. Dude,
bro, I
I,
was so nervous. I've been so fucking nervous all day. I've
you
been
ain't
waiting.
done it.
Yeah,
You ain't
yeah, dude.
nervous, man. No way.
Dude, I haven't done shit like this in a minute. Like, I just not. My brain hasn't been able to go there. I'm still in this
Yeah.
like songwriting process. I haven't talked to anybody about anything
Yeah.
really except for my buds.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you were able to talk to me. I kind of eased you and guided you through it. No
Yeah, I
problem. No
appreciate
sweat.
it. You have a lot of editing to do, I guess.
No, man, not at all. Not at all.
How long
But
do these shows usually run you?
uh I don't know. Usually at about an hour, hour and
Yeah,
10.
nice, nice.
So I think we're like an hour and 24 right now, which is cool with me. I
I,
got
t-
all
I,
night.
I talk a lot, bro. I talk.
No, it's all good, dude. But no, it was awesome to get to really pick your brain and to kind of hear about, a side of the becoming and a side of yourself that I never got to witness live
Yeah, man.
and yeah, dude. And I think that all the people that listen back and watch back on on YouTube and stuff, they'll really
Sure.
enjoy this, especially if they're a fan.
Yeah, totally.
Uh,
And
it's
maybe
cool.
if they're not, they might be, or
Yeah.
they're either gonna love it or they're gonna hate it.